I was never the perfect husband, but I showed up every single day. Bills paid, house fixed, dinner ready when she got home. If something broke, I repaired it before she even noticed. When her car battery died, I left work to jump it. When the AC failed, I had a guy there the same day. I wasn't rich, but I made sure she never felt lacking. Amy didn't work full-time, just small side jobs and hobbies. I never complained, never made her feel guilty for it. I thought supporting her dreams was what love looked like. She wanted to start a craft shop once. I built her a studio in the spare room. Bought the fancy cutting machine she swore would change her life. Paid for a business license she never used. She quit that after 2 months, moved on to photography. I bought her a camera, helped design her logo. She uploaded 4 posts, then gave up again. Still, I never said a word. I wanted her to feel free, not pressured. I told myself that one day she'd find something that stuck. I wasn't keeping score. I just wanted her happy. Holidays came, and I never forgot. Flowers when I went grocery shopping. Notes on the counter before I left for work. Little things to remind her I still cared. She used to smile when she saw them. Then she stopped. Conversations grew shorter. Laughter disappeared first, then eye contact. She started sleeping with her phone face down. Always busy, always tired, always somewhere else in her head. I thought maybe she was going through something. Midlife, hormones, burnout, who knows? So I tried harder. Date nights, weekend trips, anything to spark what we lost. But the more I tried, the colder she became. Her hugs felt like obligations. Her voice lost warmth. Every time I asked if something was wrong, she said I was overthinking. Said I was looking for problems that didn't exist. So I backed off. I thought giving her space would fix it. It didn't. She drifted further, like someone slowly erasing herself from my life. Dinner became silence. Touch became absence. We stopped saying goodnight. I'd sit in the living room, pretending to watch TV. She'd scroll on her phone beside me, miles away in the same room. I kept showing up anyway. That's what I believed marriage meant. You endure. You hold on even when the grip hurts. Because love, I thought, wasn't fireworks. It was patience, quiet consistency, being there when things got dull. But love alone can't hold 2 people standing still. I didn't see it then, but she was already gone. Her body was still there, her laughter still faintly echoed. But her heart had checked out long before the betrayal. I told myself she'd come back if I just waited. I was wrong. You don't wait for someone who's already left you in spirit. You just don't realize it until you come home early one day. Friday started like any other day. I woke up before sunrise, made coffee, packed my tools, and headed out. One of my clients canceled last minute, said a shipment got delayed. So by noon, I was free. I decided to surprise Amy with lunch. Thai food, her favorite. I remember thinking maybe it would make her smile again. Maybe she'd see that I still cared. I pulled into the driveway, quiet as ever. My truck barely made a sound since I fixed the muffler. Her car was already there. I grabbed the takeout, walked to the front door. The house looked normal, peaceful even. I thought she might be working on another project upstairs. But when I stepped inside, it felt off. Too quiet. Not the usual kind of quiet, but something heavy. The kind that hums under your skin. I called out her name. No answer. Then I heard it. A laugh. Soft, breathy fake. The kind she used when she wanted something. But the voice that followed wasn't hers. It was a man's. A voice I knew. Ryan. My best friend since high school. The man who helped carry my mom's coffin. The man I loaned money to when he couldn't afford his down payment. I froze halfway up the stairs. Their voices tangled in a rhythm I couldn't mistake. And in that moment, something in me broke quietly. No shouting. No rage. Just realization. I didn't go in. Didn't make a scene. Didn't want to see what I already knew. I turned around, walked back down the stairs. Sat at the bottom step, holding the bag of food. Pad thai cooling in my hands. I sat there for maybe 15 minutes. My mind completely still. I didn't cry. Didn't scream. I just stared at the floor and thought about everything I'd done. Every night I came home tired. Every bill I paid. Every time I tried to fix something that wasn't mine to fix. And then I laughed once, quietly. Because it finally made sense. All the distance, the coldness, the lies about late nights. She hadn't been confused or sad. She'd already chosen to leave. She just didn't have the courage to say it. And Ryan, the man I trusted most, was her exit plan. I stood up slowly. Set the takeout on the counter. Walked out the front door. Got in my truck and drove. No destination. Just away. Past the town limits, past the noise. The farther I drove, the calmer I felt. Because for the first time in years, I saw the truth clearly. That wasn't my wife anymore. And that wasn't my friend. That was a pair of strangers who happened to share my home. By the time I reached the highway, my decision was made. No revenge. No begging. No second chances. They were going to regret it, not because I'd explode, but because I'd disappear, quietly, completely, and forever. I drove until the road stopped feeling familiar. The sun was low, bleeding orange across the windshield. My hands didn't shake, not once. I wasn't angry anymore, just awake. Every mile between me and that house felt like a layer of weight falling off. By the time I reached the old industrial park, I knew where I was going. My workshop. A storage unit I'd rented a year ago, hidden behind rows of rusted doors. Amy never liked the smell of sawdust, so she never came here. That space became my escape, long before I realized why I needed one. I unlocked the door and turned on the light. The air smelled of cedar and varnish, steady and grounding. On the workbench sat the half-finished oak table I'd been building. It looked solid, patient, unbroken. I envied it. In the corner, inside a filing cabinet, was a folder I hadn't touched in months. I pulled it out. Divorce papers. Already signed by me 6 months ago. I drafted them after our last big argument. Back when I thought maybe fear of losing me would make her stay. But she didn't notice. Or maybe she just didn't care. Now the papers felt like freedom. No hesitation. No more what-ifs. I sat down at the desk, updated the dates, and printed fresh copies. Then I opened my laptop and changed everything that had her name on it. Bank accounts. Passwords. Utilities. She never bothered to know how anything worked. She assumed I'd always handle it. That was her mistake. By the time I finished, my life looked cleaner on paper than it ever had in reality. I drove back to the house after dark. No music. No thoughts, just the steady hum of the engine. When I walked in, they were there. Fully dressed, sitting at the kitchen table. Amy's eyes red, Ryan trying to look brave. They must have been waiting for a storm. They expected me to shout, to break something, to give them the drama. Instead, I laid the folder on the counter. "This is it," I said. "You made your choice. I'm making mine." Ryan tried to speak, but I cut him off with a hand. "Don't." Silence swallowed the room. Amy's face went pale. I opened the folder, let the pages spread across the counter. Her hand twitched like she wanted to reach for me, but I stepped back. "The house is mine," I added. "You've got 30 days to leave." She looked stunned, like the idea of consequences had never crossed her mind. I turned to walk out, stopped at the doorway, and said quietly, "You don't fix betrayal with tears. We're done." That night, I slept in my truck outside the workshop. It was the best sleep I'd had in years. No noise. No lies. Just the steady breath of a man who finally stopped pretending everything was fine. 2 days passed before Ryan tried to call me. Unknown number, straight to voicemail. His message was sloppy, full of guilt and excuses. He said it just happened. He said Amy told him I didn't care anymore. That she was lonely. That I'd checked out years ago. He actually thought that would make it better. I didn't respond. I blocked his number. But silence wasn't enough. Ryan had always bragged about his clever business tricks. Running his home theater company under the table. No taxes. No records. Cash deals only. He thought it made him smart. I thought it made him reckless. Now it made him vulnerable. I called a friend who worked as a CPA. Told him, anonymously, that someone had been evading taxes for years. I sent screenshots of texts where Ryan literally bragged about it. He said, "The IRS will never catch me, bro." I smiled reading it. Within a week, his books were flagged for review. Not my problem anymore. Just karma working with paperwork. Then I remembered his website. I'd helped him set it up 3 years ago when his email stopped working. He'd promised to switch the account later. Never did. The domain was still under my email. So I logged in. Didn't lie. Didn't hack. Just posted one small update on the homepage. Due to ongoing investigations involving tax fraud and financial misconduct. This business is no longer accepting clients. Then I logged out. 1 hour later, I got a call from a mutual friend. Apparently, Ryan's biggest contract got canceled that same day. A dentist's office. $6,000 gone in a heartbeat. He showed up at my workshop that evening. Slammed his truck door so hard it echoed. Burst through the door, red-faced, shaking. "You think this is funny?" he shouted. I didn't even look up from the wood I was sanding. "I think it's overdue," I said. "You stabbed me in the back. I just stopped covering for you." He paced like a caged animal. "You ruined my life, man." I looked him dead in the eye. "No, Ryan, you did that when you slept with my wife." He didn't have a comeback. Just heavy breathing, and the look of a man realizing the fire he started was now burning his own house. I walked to the door, opened it wide. "You don't get to be here anymore. Go cry somewhere else." He stood there frozen for a few seconds. Like he wanted to hit me, but didn't have the courage. Then he left. No threats. No shouting. Just the sound of defeat batting down the road. Later that night, I checked his website again. It was gone. Deleted. The man who once bragged about being untouchable had finally learned what silence can do when it's backed by truth. Amy stayed in the house like nothing had changed. Curtains closed, lights off, pretending silence could protect her. Maybe she thought I'd cave, that I'd come back and talk. She always believed I was too soft to follow through. But this time, I was already 3 steps ahead. I'd emptied half the joint account the morning after it happened. Left her $100 and some loose change. Petty, maybe, but fair. I gave her 30 days to move out. She thought it was a bluff. It was. By the second week, I had already found a buyer. Not just anyone. Clara, Ryan's ex-wife. We met at a small diner outside town. She didn't need details. She already knew enough. "I'll pay cash," she said. "I just want them both to know they didn't win anything." Her voice was steady, colder than mine. We signed the papers with my lawyer, clean and legal. I didn't tell Amy. Not yet. I wanted her to feel safe until the very end. Day 26, I sent her a certified letter. 4 days to vacate the property. Keys on the counter, door locked on the way out. No threats, no emotion. Just facts. That night, she called me for the first time since the betrayal. Her voice cracked between anger and panic. "You can't just kick me out," she said. "This is my home too." No, it was. It used to be ours, before she burned it down. I let it go to voicemail. The next morning, 3 more missed calls. I didn't answer any. On the 30th day, I drove by to check. Her car was still there. Clothes in trash bags by the garage. She hadn't moved. Still hopping, I'd back down. I parked at the curb. A few minutes later, Clara arrived with the realtor. Amy came out in a hoodie, hair messy, eyes wide. "What the hell is this?" she asked. Clara stepped forward, calm as ever. "I bought the house," she said. Amy froze, staring between us. I didn't say a word. Just watched it click in her head. She started arguing, claiming it wasn't fair. That she needed more time. That she'd take me to court. Clara handed her a printed notice from her lawyer. "You have 48 hours to leave. After that, it's trespassing." Amy's mouth fell open. No tears this time. Just disbelief. She looked at me like she didn't recognize who I was anymore. Maybe for the first time, she saw the man she underestimated. 20 minutes later, Ryan pulled up. Probably thought he'd save her. He got out, saw Clara, saw me, then asked, "You sold it to her?" "Yep," I said. He stood there speechless, while Amy tried to hide behind him. They both looked small, standing in front of the ruins they built. I turned to leave, said one last thing over my shoulder. "Next time you steal something, make sure it isn't already walking out the door." Then I left them standing there, with nothing but their own reflection in the wreckage. The house was quiet when I went back to clear it out. Not for closure, just to collect what was mine. Most of my things were already gone, stored in the workshop. What remained was dust and echoes. Old towels, useless decorations, a coffee maker I always hated. Then I found a locked drawer in the bedroom closet. A small metal cabinet I hadn't touched in years. I drilled it open, not expecting much. Inside was a folder labeled "Emergency." It held handwritten notes, printouts, and 2 envelopes. The first was a bank statement. An account under Amy's name only. Opened 4 years ago at a credit union across town. Small deposits every few weeks, $50 or $75 each. Not enough to notice, but enough to add up. $14,000 saved in secret. While I worked weekends to pay bills. She was building her escape fund. The second envelope made my stomach turn. A life insurance policy. On me. $75,000. Beneficiary, Amy Thompson. She never mentioned it. Never asked. She'd been planning her exit longer than I ever guessed. Ryan wasn't her mistake. He was her test run. I wasn't angry anymore, just amazed at how far she'd gone. I revoked the policy the next day. Filed the paperwork with proof of identity and divorce proceedings. Done in under an hour. Then I took care of the account. Our prenup made it easy. It stated clearly that if either party committed adultery, they forfeited any financial claims. Her signature, notarized, sealed her fate. I closed her secret account and moved the money into my business fund. Didn't spend a dime. Just left it there as proof that silence pays better than rage. Later, I found another surprise. A lease application under her name. A small storefront downtown. Coming soon, custom decor and design by A. She planned to open a boutique. Her new beginning, her clean slate. Except now she had no funds, no partner, no plan. I drove to the address. The shop was empty. Dust on the windows, signs still hanging. I walked into the leasing office and asked if it was still available. They said yes. So I signed the lease myself. Right there on the spot. I turned it into my own showroom for custom furniture. Hung a new sign above the window. Exit Plan Woodworks. Made from mistakes. Every board in that shop came from something broken. Every piece told a story of survival. When people asked about the name, I just smiled. It wasn't about escape anymore. It was about building something real from the ruins. Amy never came by, but I know she's seen it. I wanted her to. Not out of cruelty, but clarity. Some lessons you can only learn while watching someone else rebuild. With the wood from the bridge you burned. 6 months later, life felt quiet again. No chaos, no phone calls, no ghosts from the past. I rented a small house outside the city. Big enough for peace, small enough to keep humble. Most days started with coffee and the smell of sawdust. Work was steady, honest, clean. Clients came by word of mouth, not promises. I didn't post my life online, didn't chase sympathy. I just built. Each project steadied my hands, cleared my head. Ryan's business collapsed completely by spring. His accounts frozen, his name blacklisted. Amy disappeared from town, living off odd design jobs. I stumbled across her new website once. Passionate about creating peaceful spaces. I closed it and blocked the page. Peace wasn't something she could design anymore. Clara sold the old house for a profit. She texted me once, said, "They both underestimated the quiet ones." She was right. I never needed revenge. I just needed distance. Because sometimes the best justice is simply outgrowing the people who broke you and building a life so solid that their names don't echo there anymore.